Welcome to the Floored-U-Cation podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Hadeen, owner of Illustrious Hardwoods in Phoenix, Arizona. We're here to talk with contractors from all across the country about the issues that matter to you. This week's guest is Scott Zito. Scott owns Lavoro Carpet and Luxury Flooring in Olathe, Kansas. We talk about getting to the upper echelon of price tiers for installations. Tune in so you can elevate your business. Scott Zito, are you on the line?
Yes, sir. How you doing, Kyle?
I'm good. Thank you for joining us on Floored-U-Cation Pro. Excited to have you on.
Oh, hey, man. Anytime. I appreciate you having me on.
My pleasure. Always good to continue to meet installers from around the country, especially guys that are out there taking things to a different level, experimenting, getting crazy. So why don't you go ahead and give us some background on yourself, and so we know who you are, where you've been, what you've done.
All right. Well, my name is Scott Zito. I live in Kansas City, Missouri. I have been installing carpet for 24 years. I was born and raised in Connecticut. I got into the trade right out of high school in 1996. I actually apprenticed the carpet installer who was doing all the carpet for my father and uncle's floor store. And I apprenticed him for 8 years before going out on my own, and then eventually taking over the business and running the floor store. Well, unfortunately, 2007, 2008 is when the recession hit and my father and uncle sold the store. And I did a little bit of traveling, left Connecticut, went to Philadelphia and then New York City. I did a lot of higher end work out there, and then eventually met my wife, who is from Kansas City, and we moved out here about 6 years ago, where I immediately got into carpet installations, working for several stores and accounts, and kind of worked my way up through the ranks. Built a reputation as a good installer, and just recently was in Vegas this past January for Surfaces, where I was chosen to compete amongst the other two guys selected. So there was three of us that competed in the National Installer of the Year competition, which I did not win. But it was still opened a lot of doors, certifications. I met all the CFI guys out there. I met guys from NFIC, really got passionate about my craft and really kicked it up and got my certifications done. And just recently opened my first flooring studio with a workroom, doing 95% higher end installations, working with wovens and wools and doing some custom rug fabrication. And things are good, man. I love Kansas City. The flooring industry out here is great. And, I've met really, really great dudes in the industry, like you, for instance, and, other guys that I met at Surfaces in Vegas. And it's been quite the ride this year. Turning 40 was definitely the best year I've had so far.
Awesome. All right. I appreciate being put on a list of guys that have been involved in the industry forever and are like top-notch installers, because I still, like, I'm just a nobody, man. I'm just a guy.
Oh, no.
Like, I've been in the industry 5 years. I'm passionate about it. So thank you. That's
what we need. And that's what we need, Kyle. We
Yes.
need more guys like you that are passionate about this, service industry that we're in.
And that's why we're here doing this right now, is
Yeah.
just got to bring up this industry. So I want to take it back a minute. All right, what's the name of your business?
The name of my business is Lavoro Carpet and Luxury Flooring. Lavoro is Italian for beautiful work, because that just kind of stuck with me over the years. My clients have always said, "Oh man, you do beautiful work." Well, me being 100% Italian, just kind of came up with this name and went with it. And,
Love it.
Yeah.
All right, and then I want to point out there's little words that can be used that are huge. So I never call somebody a customer. I always refer to them as a client.
Client, yep.
And it's because a customer is someone buying a good, a client is someone you take under your protection. So
Customers are people that walk into a store, that that browse, that it's until they actually want to use you or form a relationship with you, then they are clients. That's how I've always looked at it. But everybody is a potential client.
Yes. So, but essentially, if you look up the definition, a client is somebody you take under your protection. So,
Sure.
and that's key, I think, is that we as the installer, as the store owner, as whatever we are, we need to take them under our protection, guide them through this, and do them justice at the very end.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
your key word was you don't have a store or a showroom, you have a studio. And boy, does that sound fancy.
It does, I know. And luxury flooring. I could have said, Lavoro carpet, and I want to do all the high-end flooring in the. It's what I do is custom work in the luxury, for luxury homes. Yes, my clientele are higher end. But yeah, my studio is a showroom with an attached workroom. But yeah, I want to stand out. I don't want to just be just the normal mom and pop carpet shop, the little guy. Most of my work is geared towards designers. I work with a lot of designers. I work with a lot of higher end builders. So the studio, well, it may also come from the fact that I'm also a musician, and we always went to the studio to practice.
But yeah, I mean, the key word is that you added something to differentiate yourself from everyone else.
Sure.
You took yourself and you essentially put yourself on a pedestal. And you said, look, these words key in on something that's above and beyond ho-hum.
Right. Absolutely. We're the guys that separate ourselves. We're the studios. That's just kind of how I came up with that.
Yeah. So I recently went out and I had to do a bid, and the lady told me she hesitated calling me at first because Illustrious sounded expensive. So the name of my company is Illustrious Hardwoods. And so
I like that.
Illustrious sounded expensive. Now, essentially what it really means is that you're just known for past work. And if I'm going to be able to do anything in this business, to be able to get more work, I better have been known for my past work being good. So that's where that came from. But it's, the way the word sounds, it's, I don't know, it's almost pretentious. So you're kind of setting yourself out there for something.
Most of our clientele may be a little pretentious, but
correct.
That's who we service. We aren't here to service the guy looking for a remnant to slap in build a piece of builder grade, to slap in a Section 8 housing. Like, that's not what we do.
Exactly.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, I'm building a brand. And so that's how I wanted to frame it. And you're doing the same thing. So we
want to stand apart.
Yes, exactly. Absolutely. You don't have a showroom, you have a studio. And I think it sounds great. I love that you went there.
Thank you.
So, all right. We know who you are. Oh, that's what I wanted to touch on. So you said you went to Surfaces. You competed in the competition. Now, were you CFI certified before you went?
I was not. No, I've always known what CFI was. Being in the trade for 24 years, and I've always gotten floor covering installer, pro installer magazine. Mm-hmm. I've known what it is. I've known who all the guys were. It wasn't until I actually got to Vegas and was like, oh my God, these are all CFI guys. This is pretty cool, man. These are other installers who are passionate about their craft, who are really serious about, the integrity of what they do. Okay. And doing it right and not cutting corners. It wasn't until after Surfaces I I got my CFI certification, my R1C1, and I got my NFIC certification, which is natural fiber installer certification, which is geared towards wovens and wools and the higher end material that some of us work with on a daily basis.
You have had a busy year then, because that's all happened
This
in
has
the
been
past
quite
11 months.
the year. Yes. Yep.
Impressive.
Absolutely.
Well, right on.
Thank you.
And you opened the studio this year too?
Yes, I did.
Where did you find the time to do all of this?
Well, well, we nicknamed the studio the Mistress because I was basically there 16 hours a day for 6 to 8 months.
Oh.
Really, I did everything myself. I did a complete build out, doubled the space of my showroom. Now, obviously, I've known about owning a floor store because I ran one for a number of years.
Mm-hmm.
I ran my parents' floor store, so I knew how to reach out to reps. I know how to build a display with my eyes closed. I've built hundreds of displays, but really, it was, I'm the new guy. This is kind of a small town, Kansas City. So, you've got your basically your big 5 or your big 6 stores that everybody goes to. And I said, well, I can't really compete with that. I need to really tap into that niche market, the higher end,
mm-hmm.
The designers, the higher end builders. And that's really what I did. I've always known that I was put here to do something not like every day. So
yeah,
I really care. I've always cared about what I've done. I don't know if it's the OCD or being a perfectionist kind of separates you apart from a lot of the installers, a lot of your colleagues. So I kind of took that and just kind of ran with it. And Surfaces really opened up so many doors for me. I got to meet so many good guys, and I continue to talk to these guys every week. And it's been amazing. I wish more installers would really get more serious about the trade and do it justice, man. I mean, that's what we do for a living. So
yeah,
I'm pretty passionate about it. I can go on for hours about it.
Yeah, and I drive my wife nuts because I'll try and talk flooring with her, and she's like, "You need to stop. Like, we're done. We're not talking about this."
You can only dork out with other floor guys.
Yes. So, and that's what, luckily, like I said, I've been doing it 5 years. Luckily, I found Flooring Installers of America. Thank you, James Dowling, for even having the foresight to create such a group and get us all connected. And, that really was something that was able to get me on the right track very early on before I was even out on my own, so that I had steps to, like, I knew where I wanted to be, what I wanted to do, but just being able to interact with guys that are passionate and
it's so
taking
awesome,
it to a different
man.
level is amazing. And so now,
I didn't even know FIA existed. Heck, when I got out to Vegas, I got together with one of my other competitors, Don Perkins out of Connecticut.
mm-hmm.
We hit it off. Obviously, I'm from Connecticut.
Yeah,
he's from Connecticut. We bust each other's balls all the time. We talk every so often for like an hour on the phone. We're constantly bantering. But yeah, I mean, I actually met Ken Ballin, and I didn't even know he's the guy who moderates FIA. Honestly, I just thought, like, oh, this is some tile guy who's competing in the competition.
Who's just super passionate, Bob.
Yeah, I mean, God, Ken's probably one of the most passionate guys I know. And
yeah, he bleeds grout for sure.
He's amazing. All these guys are amazing. It really is. It's pretty amazing to have a forum with thousands and thousands of installers that, I mean, obviously not all of them are passionate about the craft and really trying to make a mark in the industry like we are. But, the guys that are, like, we're a pretty tight knit group. We really are. There's always the same guys that, comment on our posts and,
mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I love it, man.
Well, and
It's been
been,
amazing.
yeah, it's been a great way to meet the guys that are like that, because before,
Yeah.
honestly, I don't know that I ever would have heard of CFI here in Arizona. Like, there's not a lot of certification classes that come through.
Well,
I knew NWFA exists, the National Wood Flooring Association, and but I didn't know there was other things like that, and I don't know that I ever would have looked. And so now that I've found these other guys across the country and gals, I can't forget about Michelle when I interviewed her a couple weeks ago, and her Tile Chicks group. But
tile jokes, yes.
you know, there, to be able to interact and get to know everyone. And you know, I'm excited. In January I'm going to go to Forney, Texas, and take the wood and laminate certification class from CFI. The people, I don't even know who's going. I don't care who shows up. I just want to meet people that are showing up. I'm going to bring the equipment with me. I'm hoping to get an episode recorded about our experience there.
Yeah.
I just,
Yeah.
you know, I think it's awesome to be able to interact with everyone, and we're all kind of pushing each other up. But if we can take that, I think one of the things that really needs to happen is, it's great that we all interact with each other, but we need to be able to get that into our local market somehow, and get even like ho hum guys somehow a little bit more excited about what they're doing. And I know Ken Ballin always likes to say he can't save them all, and he throws up the David Hasselhoff GIF or GIF, whatever you want to call it, and you know, it's funny, but it's true. Like, you can't change everyone. Some people just want to do ho hum, and they're okay with that. But there's people that don't even know they want to be great. So let's go find them and make them great.
Yeah. Man, that's the $1 million question. How, and that's what's hurting our industry more than anything right now. I mean, if you look at the statistics, I mean, you know, I did my whole business plan and everything, and obviously the number one issue in our industry is the installation. You know, you've got all these box stores that are, you know, they're basically pushers and pimps for, you know, I'm not going to name any names of the distributors or manufacturers, but you know, they're not really in it for installation. They're in it to sell, you know, this particular manufacturer's products so that they can get their points, so that they can get their, either their suitcase of cash or their vacation to Mexico.
Yeah.
There's really no, there's been really a detachment there, and which is sad, because we're all in this. I mean, this is service industry. We're in this to make the customer happy with what they have spent a lot of money on, more than most projects they'll ever do in their home ever. And that's what I love about the FIA and the certified guys. We need more of that.
Mm-hmm.
We need more certification courses, and we need more, you know, CFI chapters. We need, well, we need for the good installers to get together and really kind of keep it alive. And hopefully that either phases out the bad installers, because our names get out there more and stores want to use these guys as subcontractors, or you know, it really makes the not so good installer want to really, you know, pick up their game.
Yeah.
You know, and some of them don't even know they're doing shoddy work, and that's the sad thing. Some of them are just trained improperly. So, and it's funny, because being in Kansas City, this is the birthplace of CFI. So we don't have a chapter here right now, but hopefully we can change that, because I'm the first one to say, I know 100 installers out here. Mm-hmm. I literally do. I know 100 carpet guys, and I'd maybe hire 4 or 5 of them.
Well,
I mean, that's a very small percentage. So, well, yeah, I mean, that's, you know, we will for sure. I mean, it's just a matter of really spreading the word that, hey, you don't have to be a shitty installer. You know, learn it the right way and change your habits.
Well, it takes time and commitment. And so we've all got things going on, and you can only work on one thing at a time. You know, this podcast sat on the shelf for a good 6-7 months because I got busy doing installs. And so it came to the point where other podcasts were coming along, and I got called out onto what I was going to do with it. And I pulled the trigger, and I haven't been able to look back. But trying to run my business on top of trying to manage this podcast along with my family
Yeah, you've got a family.
has been a disaster. But we're making it work. You know, my wife is very understanding. She knows what I'm working towards, and I have to make some sacrifices now so that I will hopefully have more time in the future. So we're making it work.
Yeah.
And I think that's what needs to happen is we can, if guys can sacrifice a little bit of time now and make something start to grow, then it will organically keep itself going. You don't always have to be involved at the top. You may be able to go find that diamond in the rough who's going to step up and be like, man, this is what I need to be doing. Like, let me take over. Let me head this up for you. Let me run the chapter. I'll go and continue to promote it and get new blood in. And, you know, you can still participate and be a mentor, but you don't necessarily have to run it. So,
well, that's why I love the whole, the seminars, like, going to high schools, or, really going after the younger generation. Because, let's face it, we've got the guys in the industry now, that are, in their 50s and their 60s and their 70s. And then we've got the younger guys, there's like that whole generation, that gap.
Yep.
Which, pretty soon, I'm 40. Pretty soon I'm going to be one of those guys. And if I don't if I don't find a 20-year-old now and hire him, train him, mentor him, then, we don't know what we're going to have in another 10, 15 years, because that's the problem. We need to hire and we need to train I need an 18-year-old me is what I need.
Correct.
And that's, a lot of guys are in that same boat.
Even when you find somebody that does, it takes time to nurture that. They're not going to be the craftsman you are after 20 years in 2 years.
Right.
And so you've got to be able to, a lot of guys get frustrated. Like, I knew going into this, I wanted to go out on my own, but I had a background from being able to take wood shop in high school and middle school, go figure, trades in school.
Yeah. Yeah.
I picked up the trade very quickly. And so, and I'm also, look, I'm not God's gift to flooring. I get that. I'm doing laminate, vinyl plank, and engineered hardwood. I'm doing residential installs. It wasn't that complicated to figure out how to cut around a door jamb. So once I kind of figured out the basics, like, I can lay multiple rectangular rooms, So it wasn't hard to go out on my own after 2 years. I went and I talked my way into jobs and got them, and I've learned a lot along the way, and my work's gotten better. But I bet you if I went and looked back at some of my jobs from a couple years ago, I'd be pretty disgusted.
Right.
So
well,
it's a matter of keeping those guys.
Correct. CFI will do that. They'll do like the 3-week, 4-week certifications. Those are awesome, man.
Correct, but that gets you introduced. That's not making you a craftsman like yourself that's doing custom carpet work. And you can't sit that kid down at the sewing machine after 2 years and say, do this.
Right.
It's probably 5 years down the road or more. And it's not to say that they can't start working at it, but it's going to take time to develop those skills.
Yeah,
so we have to be able to pay enough that they want to stick around long enough to learn those skills, and they don't have to go and suffer. So
that's a whole other thing, man. Is the pay. I mean, hell, I can tell you right now, being in the business almost 25 years now, I mean, hell, we're getting the same wages as we were 15 years ago.
Well,
when I started,
carpet guys get pooped on the worst.
We do. I know. Unfortunately, I don't know why. Just because it's fuzzy, as Ken would say, means it's all going to be the same, right? Well, I mean, I could tell you, man, 15 years ago, before, it's funny because, well, hell, you go back when the carpet was all wools and it was all, there were no synthetics. I mean, this is a whole different way of installation. Seams were sewn. That's what I'm passionate about is getting into that, the way that it was done 100 years ago, 200 years ago. But the problem is, the way carpet's been installed over the past, let's just say 20 years, hasn't really hasn't really changed much. I mean, it's, we've got tools that are the same as they were, but we've got materials that are getting harder and harder to actually work with, like the stair carpets.
Okay.
I can go and do a stair job that will take me an entire day. I have a loop. It's a pattern. I have to match it. I have to do a beautiful job for these people. I will go the next day and do the same set of stairs with an easy, basic builder grade carpet. And there's literally no difference in what I'm making. And that's what's the problem is a lot of guys just don't want to do good work. They don't want to, they don't want to spend that extra time. They want to cut corners because they're not getting paid what they deserve.
Well, so where does that start? So is that on the shop to fix? Is that on the installer to fix? Is that on manufacturers to come and fix? Where do we attack that problem?
It falls on the installers in the industry that are reputable, that work with the materials on a day-to-day basis, that work with designers, that work with, higher end new construction, higher end, existing homes, basically showing them what we can do and what it takes to do it correctly. Mm-hmm. And that all corresponds with CFI and NFIC and really, really being, the guy who stands out from the other installers in the area.
Okay. So if I'm a guy taking jobs from a shop, then when they offer me that and they're only willing to pay the $300, do I walk away?
I did.
Okay.
I did. I said, listen, you can pay this guy $300 or you can pay me $600. This is going to take me an entire day, a full day. Now people say, oh, $600 and it's going to take you a full day. Well, yeah, dude. I mean, by the time I pay my helper, my taxes, my insurance, trust me, that's not as much money as it sounds.
It's not. Okay. So, you refuse to do it. And I think you asking for more money isn't wrong. You're right. You got to pay a helper. You got to pay taxes. You've got gas. You've got tools you're invested in. You've got training that you're invested in now. And
self-employment tax, everything. I mean,
exactly. I'm not going to I don't hide my numbers from anyone. I fully admit that, right now I try and make $1,000 an hour when I go and do a job. Or right. I'm sorry, 1,000. Man, I wish. Oh, geez, wrong number. $1,000 a day, and if I can get a helper that's going to be in there really pushing it, and they get trained well, 12 to 1,500 is definitely where I want to be at a day. But after I pay them
absolutely
a good wage to get them to want to stick around instead of going out on their own, I have tools, I have the gas, I have the insurance, the licensing, all of that. Okay. Yes, yep. I'm going to walk away with a healthy profit, but I should. There's nothing wrong with making money. So
no, we should be making $100 an hour.
That's the
minimum.
Goal. Exactly. So
absolutely, and that's that, like I said, $100 an hour, but it's pay our taxes, our insurance, our gas, our supplies, our helpers, everything. I mean, it's really sad that there are guys out there that we'll bang out 200-300 yards in a day. They've got 6-7 guys with them. They come in, they destroy a home. They kick the carpet in. They don't install it properly. But you know what? They're making good money. They really are. They're making the same as me. That I've had to bust my ass on a set of custom stairs for 2 days.
Yeah,
where they can go and they can just do that in a day. And that unfortunately is a problem in the industry. We need more guys, like us that care about the craft, that want to do quality work. And hopefully, eventually all the stores are going to really come to realize that. But even more importantly, and I know the manufacturers don't want to get involved with installation, but I mean, it's good for everybody if we have better installers that are actually, installing the end product.
Definitely. If there's better installers providing a better end product that's going to last and you can warranty, then you're not having to pay someone to go and do callbacks. So no, I don't want to pay
Right.
you a lot because I'm going to have to send you back out on a callback, and whether I pay you or not is a different story. uh, if you're subcontracted, you're probably not going to get paid. If you're hourly from a shop, you're probably going to get paid because otherwise it would be illegal. um, so I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but you should be getting paid if you're an hourly employee and you have to go back for a callback. But essentially, if you would just do it right the first time, I could pay you more because I can charge more,
Right.
because I can say, you know what, I guarantee you're not going to have problems for 10 years on that carpet install unless your dog pisses on it all the time and it gets ruined. You can put things in place and charge more for it, because when that one job does go south, well, you've been making a healthy profit on all the other jobs so that you can go ahead and pay for that one-time expense. You also
Yeah.
have insurance to cover such things. Like, accidents happen. I get that.
Yep.
So it's a matter of setting yourself up right. And I've never worked for a shop. From the very beginning, I went and I started finding my own jobs. It's just how I need to work. I need to be in charge. I have trouble.
Yeah.
I have trouble not being able to call all the shots, and I definitely don't like being handed a work order and walking into something that I have no idea what's going on. It's just not a comfortable situation to me. So I get, for guys that are getting their work that way, that it's probably not going to be comfortable to sit there and say, no, I'm not going to do this. And then the shop's going to tell you, well, we don't have any work for you today. But can you do that a couple of times? And if you're their good installer and you keep turning down jobs, I think they're
Yeah.
probably going to come around and say, well, maybe let's talk, or maybe you take the guy that hands out the jobs and determines the pay aside, and you ask for a meeting with them after you wrap up for a day, and
Yeah.
you sit down and go have a cup of coffee and explain your situation. You negotiate. Just because it's on paper and they say, I'm only going to pay you X amount per yard, per square foot, per linear foot, whatever it is, that doesn't mean it's written in stone.
Well, I mean, if you're a good installer out there and you could be making more money, you should be making more money. The most important thing you can do is have a portfolio, and you could show your clients, the work that you've done,
Mm-hmm.
and you can exude that passion, and really, it's tricky because you're working for a store that has a crew of 20, and I was in the same boat, not too long ago. Only I basically would say, hey, you can hire these other guys, you can have them go do the work, but look at your callbacks. You're getting callback after callback. You're having me actually go out and fix their work. I can guarantee you no callback. I can promise you a good job, but you need the feedback from the customers. You have to organize all of that.
Yeah.
You can't just go off of your word. You need testimonials from your past clients. You need to build relationships with these people so that you can refer to them. And that's what I did. I did that for 5 years out here. I have an entire client base that is not even my client base. It's other stores. And I know that doesn't sound good, but here's the thing. You're working for a big, box store or whatever, and they've had a terrible experience with the actual sale of the carpet, but
Mm-hmm.
they've had a wonderful experience with the installation. That is what they're going to remember. That is what they're going to refer to their friends.
Yeah.
And I still have people calling me every week. Hey, do you remember you did this job for me 4 or 5 years ago for blah, blah, blah? Yeah, come down to the shop. Hey, no offense, this is business. They know that I'm going to charge more.
Yeah.
But you know what? It doesn't matter, or they may not even know that yet. But it doesn't matter because your work, the quality of your work is a testimony of what you should be able to earn. So, approach the guys that are in charge of the installation, if you're working for them, and say, I think I'm worth more. You've had 0 callbacks from me, but from these other crews, you've had blah, 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 issue after issue. But man, I've got a clean track record, and I've done that. I've done that in the past. And you know what? I was one of the guys, in the top 2, 3 that would get paid more than, the other, 15, 16 crews. Like it's really just, you got to keep your head down, and you really have to build your reputation, man. It doesn't just come to you. You can't just go and ask for more money.
Yep.
It takes a lot of work to build your reputation.
Yeah,
I guess.
No, totally. It's and
with social media now, it's easy. You put sorry, my language, but you put your pictures on your Facebook, and you just tell the customers, the clients, hey, just check out my Facebook, man. This is what I do.
That's what I do. I built my whole brand on it so far.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's 3 years ago, I was doing jobs on Saturdays out of my Chevy Cavalier. I'd load up the shop vac, the table saw, the 10-inch miter saw.
Was it a Z24?
It was not. I had the 2.2. the 2.0, whatever was in it, man. It wasn't even the 4-door. It was the coupe, so it had 2 doors. But I was doing jobs on Saturdays out of it, going and installing living rooms and stuff for $1 a square foot.
Yeah.
Just to get experience.
Selling yourself short, man.
I was 3 years ago. I was totally doing it, but it got me. It got me pictures of my own work to put up on a Facebook page. It got me people writing reviews, and then when I did finally, when I had to go out on my own, we'll put it that way. I had something to advertise with. I had something to stand behind and say, like, look, this is what I'm doing. Here's pictures of my work. And so slowly but surely, I've increased my price and increased my price and increased my price. Mm-hmm. And I am right where I want to be. I've averaged out what I land for the past 2 years, and I'm right about 35%. So for I'll land 3.5 out of every 10 jobs that I send an estimate out on. So not really high, but I was booked 8 weeks out during the summer.
That's awesome, man. That's what counts, dude.
I stayed busy. I had a great year. I doubled revenue over my first year. And I'm not saying any of this to brag. The point is that I couldn't land a job to save my life January, February. And I was charging $2 a square foot to put down luxury vinyl plank and laminate in my area in Phoenix. Come March, I couldn't land a job to save my life. Come March, I changed a couple of things I was doing. I presented the way I wrote up my estimates, and I started charging $225 and added one extra service to how I would prep your floor, and the work wouldn't shut off. I increased my price. And I got more work, but it's because I found a better way to present the value.
Absolutely, man. That's it. And there's not enough installers out there that even care to do that. And the ones that don't are basically they're basically the kryptonite. Right? I mean,
they can be. A lot of guys get frustrated because they're like, "Oh, you're lowballing the industry. You're lowballing the industry." Do you want the clientele that they're going after? Because I don't.
That's just it.
I don't want the $1 a square foot guys anymore. I just had a conversation with a lady, and she was like, "Oh, well, we got to get the tile ripped out of our house. We want to put floors down, and we have a guy that's going to do it for $1.25 a square foot." I was like, "And you're going to have your house painted too?" And she was like, "Oh yeah, we're going to get paint." I was like, you might want to have it painted before you have that tile ripped out, because you're going to set a bomb off in your house, and that paint's not going to adhere to those walls. And she was like, "Oh, what do you mean?" I was like, "There's going to be way too much dust. You're going to have to dust those walls with like a wet towel multiple times." Yeah. So, and I was like, I offer dustless tile removal. I can do this, that, and the other thing. And they had a bid from Lowe's, and it came in at a number. And I was like, "Oh, I'm going to be more than them." And I knew, like, I was like, "How many square feet is it?" I was like, "Yeah, my price all in will be about here, but I offer X, Y, and Z." And I was able to go and present value that the Lowe's had not presented to them. So I now will be going over there doing a bid, and they're not in a rush to get it done anymore. They're like, oh, okay, we'll probably just have to move in and deal with concrete floors for a while and then do the flooring later. So hopefully I end up landing the job, but I've been able to present things to her in a way that nobody else has. And she's now hooked on my services and what I offer instead of just trying to go in. And I'm so focused on making $1 today that I'm not worried about how I'm going to make $1 in 20 years. And you've got to keep that in mind. So if you cheat somebody now and you do a subpart install and you do it quick and dirty, are you going to be able to get a referral out of them? Are you going to be able to feel good about yourself? Are you going to be able to make that $1 in 20 years? Because that's what I'm worried about.
Absolutely. I mean, referral business and word of mouth has always been my number one business. I mean, heck, I opened up my shop. I mean, it was a soft opening, but it was August 10th. And literally, I have not done any marketing at all. I have been basically installation projects that have been scheduled, either referral work or, jobs that people have gotten my name because of who I'm affiliated with, certification wise.
Okay.
So, I mean, people need to realize that, certifications are great for marketing, but man, it gets you work, and it gets you the work that you want to be doing, you want to be getting paid for. So I guess what we're really talking about is we've got the guys in the industry that, we all know with FIA and whatnot, that, we concentrate on the higher end client, right? We do the stuff that most guys don't do day to day. And so do we just focus on that? Do we, kind of build a brand that way, and we get more guys, passionate and really into, making more money because they're the ones that are also doing this type of work, but they're not involved with a network that we're all involved with. Or do we get guys that are just doing, apartment jobs every day and getting them more passionate about their craft? And, there's so much, to have to deal with. But I could tell you this right now, man, you should not walk into a box store and expect to have a piece of carpet that costs more than $40 or $50 a yard installed, because that should be left for the installer who's qualified. And you never know what you're getting when you walk into one of those places. And chances are you may not be getting a qualified installer. And all of us out here that are passionate about what we do, and we talk to you, Kyle, or we post on FIA every day, or whatever other groups that we're involved with. Like, we're the ones that really need to be controlling that niche market. And that niche market, that higher end market, it's only 3% of the entire industry. It's such a small niche, but it's also the most important, because without qualified installers, without guys that are passionate and have the integrity and care about their craft, that market is going to continue, to feel it, man. It's going to continue to hurt. And
correct. There's not a lot of guys on that level.
No, there's not. There's not at all.
And there's room for more. And it's not even like
more. Yeah, that's the thing.
I'm not even in that super duper complex level. I've just decided that even on basic residential work, I'm not going to accept ho-hum.
Right.
I'm going to provide you with an install that will last, and that costs something. Right. I need to be able to support my family. I need to be able to retire. I'm destroying my body so that you can have a quality floor. That costs something. So I won't accept ho-hum, and neither should anybody else. But that being said, just because I'm over here charging $225 in my area, and that's, I know that there's a store in my area that charges $3 a square foot. They throw in furniture moving and some other stuff, and they're getting that all day long. Like, that's a goal of mine. But for a guy that's just out on his own, $225 is high in my area. But I am backing it up with my installs. You have to be able to back up your work. You can't just throw a price out there and say, this is what it is now. You've got to be able to give people a reason why you're there. And so if you're at $1.25 right now in your area, or $1.50, and that's like high, push $1.75. See what happens. Throw it out there at a couple of bids, but you have to back up that your work is going to be better than anyone else's. You have to provide
100%.
that service.
Yeah. Yeah. You need the credentials, man. I mean, otherwise you're just, you're just asking for something that you probably will never get. And, we need to be the guys who get this other generation who really wants to be part of the industry, who may have the hand skills, but don't, necessarily realize what they can do with them. We need to be the ones training them and really getting them involved.
Definitely.
So that we can still maintain, like, the higher end market can still continue to grow, because it's growing so slowly, man, because people are getting claims everywhere. People are afraid to put a higher end, product or have a custom job done because of all the horror stories out there. I mean,
well, if you can't even get a basic job done correctly, why would you want to get a custom job?
Exactly. So, yeah, I mean, I feel like, the guys that I've met and have really networked with, that's what we do. That's our specialty, man. That's our gig. We like the pain in the ass customer, that looks down on us as a servant. You know why? Because they pay.
Correct. Oh man, you got a problem, but you're willing to pay to fix it. I love you. You're my favorite client. I don't care if you're picky, because you're going to, be picky, get perfect, but it's going to cost you. Yes. And if you're willing, as long as that checkbook keeps writing checks when there's a problem, I don't care. We'll figure it out.
Exactly. No, 100%, man. And when it comes to like the really, really high end, the designers who really don't know a thing about installation, and this is where I can't wait for Rollins' seminar and services with the designers. So Rollin, if you're going to listen to this, man, I'll be there. This is the thing, like, designers, they can sell, $100 yard carpet all day. They get their commission, they get their check, they get their cut. But after that, there is a complete 100% disconnect. They're not anything to do with the installation. The carpet that they sold may not even warrant any type of seam or may not be warranted for stairs or whatnot.
Yeah.
But there are a handful of us out there who can actually do it, and do it under the proper guidelines, and actually come up with a product at the end that will last, that will wear properly, that will look good. And I feel like if we're just a real niche group of guys, we should be able to charge whatever we want. We should be the ones that, hey, if a designer is going to sell this carpet from this manufacturer, well, that manufacturer should be it should come from the top. They should have this installer do it if it's in this area, or this other installer do it if it's in that area, or they need to be certified with this certification because that's what they do. Instead, they're just passing it off to any installer out there with a carpet knife, and letting them just, go to town, and probably, I would say 85% of the time it's not done properly, and there's going to be an angry customer.
Yeah. Well,
so we need to be the ones that pave that way,
Yeah. And I love that you said we should be able to get paid whatever we want.
Whatever.
So there's always the debate when you get into talking about pricing. There's the guy that comes along and says, that doesn't work in my area. Always. I don't care where you're having this discussion. Someone's going to say it, or I can't charge that in my area, or I can't get those rates, however you want to phrase it. So I've been listening to the Tile Money podcast. I will shout out to Luke Miller. He does a great job over there. And for any guys that, even if you're not a tile guy, Go listen to it. I don't know the first thing about tile, but I listen to it because there's great business principles taught on that show.
Yeah, that's the hard, messy stuff. I don't really mess with that.
Yeah. So he has a guest on, Ron Nash, and he's with Latacrete. They make like grout and stuff like that.
Sure.
So Ron's a big business guy. He points out that, okay, so do you have a Porsche dealer in your town?
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Well, so you also have the Toyota and the used car dealers and all of that, right? Like you run the gamut of low end to high end. There is a market. I don't care what little town you live in. There's somebody there that wants high end work and they're willing to pay for it. Don't tell me it's not possible. You just don't have to find the right clientele. And if you live in a little town of 100 people, maybe you're the only person that wants high end, but the next town of 100 people will have that 1% or 2% of people that want that product.
Sure.
So you may have to expand the area you work in, or you may need to move to a bigger city to really accomplish your dreams of being this technician, this custom guy that gets high end work. Maybe that's not going to work in your area. And even if everybody in your area is at $1.50, find a way to set yourself apart, use different materials, different products, different installation methods, different prep methods, charge $1.65. Get crazy.
Yeah. Be innovative, man. Network, be creative, see what other guys are doing, join, different forums on social media, whatever. Like, get some design magazines. I've been reading designer magazines for years, because if you want to see what people are wanting to buy, in that type of clientele that you're looking for, that's all you got to do, man. Like, you need to, you can't just go by what you were taught or what the everyday, installation is. If you want to be something better, if you want to be, like I say, if you want to make a mark in your industry, you need to try, man. It takes work. It's, you can't just sit back and let it come to you. You need to really get out there and work your ass off, man. Do things that you've never done before. I've been doing that for the past year. I've done things I thought I've done it all, Kyle. I really have. And, and it wasn't until I met guys, like PJ Arthur, Nate Hall, Chris King, of course, Rollin, all these guys, man. They've been doing things that we've never seen for 30, 40 years. I mean,
exactly. That's how it goes, man.
Yeah.
There's a basic principle, that you won't accomplish anything until you're out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
So let me guess.
If you're not learning every day, man, if you're not learning something new, then it's stale and mundane, and you might as well just be kicking in opinions all day, I guess.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
My guess is that going to surfaces for you and participating in that competition puts you in an area where you were uncomfortable. Like, yes, okay, you had the skills to be there, but it was something different. It was an uncomfortable situation, and you had to perform all of a sudden, and that elevated what you were able to do because you were uncomfortable.
Man, it was uncomfortable, but I'll tell you, man, I was so mesmerized because I was surrounded by installers. Everybody that I was surrounded by had the same mentality as me. Like, we all care about our craft. We all want to do the best project we can. I look at every job as an art project.
Yeah.
I mean, it really, like, so the uncomfortableness for me was really, honestly, it was really like after the competition when guys were like coming up to me and stuff and talking to me, like, but really, I was just so happy to be like amongst other guys in the field. Yeah, like-minded individuals, other, my colleagues. These are my colleagues.
Yes.
Not the others, not the other crews that, get to the shop at the same time I did. Those are my colleagues, man. Those are the guys that kind of hinder me in a way, like, or get me mad because I'm fixing their
Yeah.
shoddy work or whatnot. No, being in Vegas was like, man, this is awesome, man. There's not one hack here. I'm so tired of hacks and hack artists
Yeah.
and being around butchers, man.
Well, and
Like
you've gotta be able to be around those like-minded individuals to elevate yourself, because you can start pooling
right,
that, I don't know, that your auras or your skills or your mindsets and your ideas together, and you can really make something happen. And
absolutely.
so I mean, it's crazy. So I've mentioned this a couple times on the podcast now, and it's just because it's something in what I read or heard or audiobook or some other podcast or something. You'll like this. You're the sum of the 5 people you hang out with most. So when you're hanging out at that shop and you're talking to those ho-hum installers all the time,
Yeah,
how are you going to get
that's who you
anywhere?
are. Right.
How are you going to elevate the craft, your career, anything, being with those guys? Get out and build something.
Yeah, yeah. That's why I believe, the certification chapters are important, and forums like FIA are important. But I mean, really, I, I mean, I can't even tell you how many doors have opened because of becoming involved with CFI and NFIC. And, you know, it's just been awesome to work with guys that are really passionate, about what they do. And I mean, I have guys across the country I consider mentors again. I haven't
Mm-hmm.
had a mentor in, almost, I don't know, 15, 16, 17 years now. I mean,
Oh, that's rough,
you
man.
know, yeah, like mentors are important. You can't just be on your own and think you know it all, man. Like I think having that guidance sometimes from somebody who's been in the industry twice as long as you, that means so much. One little bit of wisdom or one little tip. I always talk about Nate Hall. Man, that guy gave me so many tips. I can write a freaking book, man. Like things that you would never even, and not shortcuts,
Yeah.
just things that you never even considered or knew.
Correct. And it
Yeah,
doesn't even have to be somebody from the industry. Like, we're all businessmen too. And so if you can
right.
find somebody that runs, like we were talking car dealerships earlier, if you can go find a guy that runs a successful car dealership, guaranteed you can get some kind of mentorship out of him to better run your flooring business, because they're
Oh
both
yeah,
businesses. There's plenty of crossover. Don't get me wrong. Like,
absolutely, absolutely.
so
Yeah, I mean, I've learned actually quite a bit. I know a lot of guys are trying to get him to do your podcast, and I think he should, because he is a very fascinating individual. He does things with carpet that I will probably never do.
I'm so
I may work with
I missed the name.
David Hunt.
Okay. Oh,
Yes.
I think I'm in. I think I have a chat open with him. So,
Oh, good. I work with wovens. I work with high end stuff. I don't mill my own or loom my own or or work with what he works
are
with.
you
But
kidding? He mills his own carpet? Are you kidding me
oh
right
yeah,
now?
no, he does things with carpet
Oh
that
my gosh.
only a few. That's all. I mean, he's definitely one of a
Okay.
kind. But he's given me advice on business, even though I will never do what he does.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, I get the opportunity to work with somebody who does, or work with him on a project. But I mean, the advice that you get from these guys from networking, they're all mentors, man.
Yeah.
These are just guys that want to see other guys that are like-minded do well. And the more of us that are doing well, trust me, man, the better it is for our entire industry. The more better installers we have,
Oh
and
yeah.
the less hacks, the better it's going to be.
Definitely.
I don't care what the manufacturer says. I know they make plenty of money, but we should be the ones that have the say, the final say. Not them. We're the ones that are installing their product. We're the ones that should be, you know, writing the guidelines.
Definitely. I mean, look, they come up with some, but I 100% agree. Like, we should, they can say this, that, and the other thing. At the end of the day, like, we have final say. One of my favorite things is when I was in film school, was we were taught you need to know the rules so you know how to break them. And guys go crazy about expansion gaps.
Yeah.
Crazy. I'll tell you what, I install my floors tight to sliding doors. I if I had an inspector come out, I'm probably going to get dinged and told that the floor failed because of that. I get that. But I know how expansion works. I know how the houses here in Arizona kind of stay cooled and heated and things like that. Like I live in
That's a whole different beast, man.
I live in a very dry climate. There's not going to be a lot of expansion and contraction. But if I can go tight to the slider on one side and I leave plenty of expansion on the other side, theoretically, I should be okay. You've got to know the rules so you know how to break them. So these manufacturers can write stuff up all they want. We're the ones actually doing it in the field. We can manipulate things a little bit when we need to.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the project I'm on now, that I've been on for a while, I mean, this is a hand tufted, hand loomed good that my cost is $138 a square yard. Ooh. And this is from a manufacturer who says this carpet should never be seamed. They do not recommend seams. They do not stand by anything that is seamed. They will not warranty their carpet if you put a seam in it. Well, I spent 40 minutes per lineal foot preparing for the seams because I know how to deconstruct a piece of carpet. I know how to prepare it properly, even though it may take 40 freaking minutes a lineal foot. And I had, I don't even know, I think it was 80 feet of seam. I think I told you 200. No, it was 80 feet of edge.
Wow.
Yeah. So 40 foot seam, like 40 feet of seam. So that's 80 lineal feet of edge. I was able to do that, deconstruct it, prepare it properly. That seam will never fail.
But it's because you knew the rules,
right?
You knew how to, you knew how to go backwards with it and then take it forwards and make something work. And you believe in your work strong enough to put your name on it and say, you know what, this is going to work. I believe in it.
Absolutely.
And that's worth money. And you want to know what? If it doesn't work, you darn well made the money to fix it.
Well, and it is worth money because, if the manufacturer of the carpet says it can't be seamed, but I'm saying, hey, I prepared this seam how I was taught, through NFIC. Well, then if you're going to sell carpet to, for a job that needs seams, well, then maybe you need to say, all right, we only warranty our work if you have an NFIC certified installer installing this. And that's where I really want to take this. That's where I want to actually approach, the leaders in the industry and say, dude, come on, guys. Like, you want it done right. Well, we're the guys that'll do it right.
Yeah.
We're the guys that are going to train guys to do it right. So
I like that. That's a great, we want to elevate the industry. We've got to start, you got to make it happen yourself. But I think that's a great place to take it. You start, you just attack the top because you're not going to get it at the bottom.
Right. Exactly. We're here. We're at the top, man. We're at the top of the chain. So anything at that level that, we should be the ones who say yay or nay. We're the ones that work with the goods every day. We're the ones that know the goods. We're the ones who know how to, we basically know every single aspect there is about the material more than anybody who's selling it, or, you know what I mean? So I guess that's, I'm not sure where we went with this, Kyle, but
we've been so many places.
We've been dorking out, man.
That's okay. You want to know what though? That's why everyone tunes in, because they want to listen in on a couple of floor guys talk flooring. And it's not like there's not nuggets of wisdom throughout this entire thing, though. And that's the beauty of this. Is like I try and pick a topic, I try and stay to it. It always wanders. There's always little things, and so. That's
what makes it so captivating.
Yes, and I think I got a name for it, so we're good there. I do hate to say this though. This is the first episode over an hour. I gotta cut us off.
No, I've already gotten a look from my wife a couple times, man.
Okay.
No.
So here's one
Definitely
question
better.
for you.
Sure.
Do you read any books? You got any book suggestions that guys need to check out?
You mean for the trade or just
For the
reading?
trade, for business? I don't know if you don't do business books or trade books. I don't.
No,
Sure.
well, listen. The best thing you could do is get any trade magazine. Anything to do with your trade, you should really be subscribing to, or go pick them up. If you're trying to start a business, man, I've read a number of small business books. Duct tape marketing, that's a great book, man. Off the top of my head, I mean, I guess I can run upstairs and go look at my bookshelf.
Just
but
if you got
duct
like
tape marketing is great. That was a great book. And I learned a lot from that. And in fact, what I learned from that, I was kind of already doing, which is probably why it jived with me so well. I'm like, okay, yeah. If you know your business and you're trying to start a business, well, then it only makes sense. It's only natural that, what the book is describing is what you've already kind of set out to do or have already done. Other than that, I haven't really had much time to read.
That's why I'm addicted to audiobooks and podcasts now. I've tried to cut out as much music as possible during the day when I'm installing, and I get my education on during the day because I'm not going to school.
I love my music, man. I've just kind of resorted to vinyl again. I kind of invested in an audiophile setup. I'm like, man, how have I not been listening to music for the past 30 years? Going back to vinyl and back to those, 70s and 80s vintage, tuners and speakers.
That is a whole different conversation. We're not going to go there. Right
it's like, man, I can't believe I've been listening to digital music this whole time.
Yeah. But. All right. Why don't you let us know who you are, what you, where you want, anything you want to plug, and we will close this out.
Sure. All right. Well, Kyle, my name is Scott Zito. I own Lavoro Carpet and Luxury Flooring. I am a high-end flooring studio out in Olathe, Kansas, right outside Kansas City, Missouri, Kansas City, Kansas. I specialize in carpet. I do luxury vinyl plank, CFI certified. I'm NFIC certified. I also have an NFIC certification coming up in February. I believe it's February 10th. That'll be posted soon. You can check me out on Facebook. What's my Facebook? Lavoro Carpets. That's BELLAVORO Carpets. If you wanted to get a hold of me, you can email me, scott@bellavorocarpet.com. And my website is www.bellavorocarpet.com.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. If you have a question, don't hesitate to reach out to Scott. Email him. He put it out there. He will be happy to answer it. I know because I was told, hey, ask Scott to be on the show. And so I reached out to him, and he was like, yeah, I'll do that. And now here he is, and we've had a great time. So,
oh yeah, man, we've been talking for a while, man. I really enjoyed this, Kyle, and again, I appreciate what you're doing, man.
Thank you.
And for all the installers out there, just keep doing what you're doing, but do it with pride, do it with integrity, and don't cut any corners, man. Do it the way it's meant to be done, and take pride in that. Build your client base, build your referral base, and good things will come. Just keep doing top-notch work. That's all I can say.
That's it.
Get your certifications, man. CFI, NFIC. I'm a carpet guy. Those are the only two I know.
You got
CTFF guide, so that you're at least knowing how to install carpet properly. But yeah, seriously.
Awesome. Thank you. I very much appreciate it. I had a blast talking with you. I think this was great. There's great knowledge in there. You just gotta listen and pull it out. So that'll determine the winners from the losers at the end, who can sit through it and get what they need out of it.
Absolutely, Kyle.
Look forward to doing it again. I'm sure at some point we will run into each other in person, and that'll be great.
We'll talk LVP next time, maybe.
Sounds good. All right.
All right, buddy. All right, you have a great holiday, man. Have a good evening.
You too. Bye.
All right, bye.
That's all the time we have for this week. Be sure to subscribe so you can hear each and every episode. We can be found on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and most major podcast directories. Don't forget to leave a review and let us know what you think about the show. If you'd like to be a guest, have questions or feedback, you can email us at flooreducation@gmail.com. You can help support the show by becoming a patron over at patreon.com/flooreducation. Remember, your education never stops.